how is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to talk about the things you should consider before Caesar King gets here in Zenless Zone 0 for version 1.2. And Caesar King looks to be and is, because I did get the chance to use her, and I'm going to be making videos very soon with showcasing her, showing how she feels. But with what I played with Caesar King, she is by far one of the most broken characters, without a single doubt in my head that she's going to be number one in Zenless Zone 0. And it's going to be a lot of crazy things to talk about when it comes to Caesar and also showcasing her. But I do want to talk about all the current characters that are out right now that you can possibly get, and future characters that may impact her, I guess you say, value, which isn't going to be much, because I'm not going to lie, Caesar is really up there when it comes to how strong she is. But let's go ahead and start with our first character, which we do have a lot of valuable characters out right now that are going to shape your account, whether you are pay to play, whether you are free to play. And depending on which character you get is going to be a big sign on the road onto what characters you will be getting in the future. Just because, especially with how a lot of these teams are getting spearheaded by certain characters, how we have characters like Ellen, how she has her own mono ice team, how we have characters like Juyin, how she has her burst style centric team with Chingy and herself. And then we also have someone like Jane, who is the current character out on banner, who has Seth on the matter and Ambi. Jane is going to be the pioneer of the anomaly DPSs, and she is by far one of the strongest DPSs out in the game right now, especially because anomaly is just such a strong DPS class, or they're such a strong team that right now they're kind of overtuned. I really do think anomaly at the current moment is by far one of the strongest sorts of DPS, or strongest types of DPS, only because you don't necessarily need to do much to be able to proc it. You're getting a lot of different damage types from disorder, from the different reactions, and especially from Jane being able to make the assaults crit one of the hardest hitting reactions already. It's a pretty big thing for her, and she can also make other teammates crit as well, which is a pretty nasty thing as well. And not only to top that off, Jane or any other anomaly character is able to just make this damage happen without the characters being stunned. If they are stunned, that just means more anomaly damage when they do eventually get hit with those anomaly buildups. But other than that, you don't necessarily need to have them stunned. Something like Juyin needs to have them stunned to be able to get that massive damage multiplier, and Ellen, so that she can do all that she needs to do without having to worry about the enemies moving around. So currently, Jane is in a really great spot and a really big pioneer for anomaly DPS, which she is going to play an important factor in the next characters that we are going to talk about, especially when it comes to both the new characters, which is going to be kind of insane to think about, that a lot of these characters that have been coming out are basically synergizing with one another back to back. How we had a character like Juyin, and then Chingy came right after. Pretty big deal, because Chingy is by far one of Juyin's best teammates. And looking at Jane, how she's going to be the spearhead of the anomaly class, now we're looking at a character like Caesar, who is also going to be super good with Jane. And not only that, Bernice, who's going to be an absolutely godsend for the anomaly team for the future, and also for Jane at the current moment. But we'll get into that later on. Currently, if you are looking towards anomaly, if you haven't tried it, do the character trial. Anomaly is going to be the name of the game for a good minute, because I don't see any main DPS coming close to what Jane's able to do and how fast she's able to do it. So Jane is a really big pickup, especially when you're trying to build out that anomaly type damage type, just because of how strong her kit is when it comes to how constant the damage is. And not only that, with her being able to make other characters that can proc assault be able to proc the assault crit, which is a nasty thing to have. So any physical characters that come out in the future that are anomaly, any characters at all when it comes to the support class, the defense class, any other class, will be able to crit with their assault. So there's a lot of really crazy stuff that Jane is able to do for the team, so it's going to be very exciting to see. The next character we're going to talk about, of course, is the one coming up, and that is going to be Caesar. And Caesar is busted. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. There is no requirements. There is no asterisk. Caesar is broken. She has the capability of every character that we think is broken and turns it up by 10. She has an impenetrable shield, so she is by far better than Seth and Ben when it comes to the defense. You don't have to worry about getting staggered. You don't have to worry about getting flung away. You have a full-on shield that is just going to tank in all that damage. And one massive part about the shield, if you don't know this already, is that there's a portion of it where it says there's no single instance of damage that will go over the shield in one hit. So there's no such thing as losing the shield and then a part of your HP goes away. No, if it's a one-shot mechanic, guess what? the shield will go away, but you'll still be at full HP because not one single hit can go over the shield amount. It'll just take off the shield, which I think is such a broken quality of that shield that if they keep that in the game, it's going to be a little bit overtuned, which I think is a really funny thing. So not only is the shield impenetrable, she also does equivalent, I would say, stun to something like Chingy is able to do within a single parry, and also within doing a switch in parry as well. So you can get a level 70 enemy from 0 to 50 with one skill, or you can get from 0 to 80 with one parry plus a skill. It's an insane amount of stun that Caesar's able to do, and she is by far one of the stronger characters in this game, with being able to provide not only an impenetrable shield, being able to provide a crap ton of days for no freaking reason, and also has the ability to increase the damage dealt to the enemies when you parry them, and also an attack boost when an ally has a shield, which is shared across the whole team. So this is not a simple shield. It's not a shield that's only on Caesar. This is a universal buff slash debuff slash being able to just face tank everything in the game, which is by far one of the strongest things in the world. So whether or not you have, I guess you say, the skill, quote unquote, to be able to work without a shield, you don't think you need Caesar because you don't need the shield, you don't get hit anyway, Caesar provides a lot of value regardless. She has a nasty amount of buildup for anomaly. She has a crap ton of debuffs that are going to help you out with increasing damage. She has an attack buff for her shield. She's able to do parries, which allow you to stop and stagger enemies that usually have these annoying strings like the Nados, where he's able to just teleport from back to front, wasting your time. You can parry it and it stops him right then and there before the parry move even starts. It's a lot of really crazy stuff that Caesar's able to do, and she's by far one of the strongest characters and is the #1 character in Zenless Zone Zero, and will stay that way for a really long time. But going into our next character, who is in version 1.2, is after Caesar, is going to be Bernice. And Bernice as well, haven't had the chance to try her because we can't yet, but for the most part, Bernice is also going to be very strong. It's going to be a very tough time for a lot of free-to-play players and a lot of players in total, just because these characters that are coming out in Zenless Zone Zero are having qualities that make them future-proof like crazy. You have Caesar, who's giving you this massive amount of utility within her kit. You have someone like Jane, who's able to spearhead the anomaly team, making it by far one of the strongest. And now we're seeing someone like Burnice, who's able to do off-field damage and off-field anomaly buildup, with a lot of switching portions to her kit when it comes to using her ultimate, being able to switch in and out of that, being able to be having another character active during Burnice's ultimate, and then Burnice's passive being able to hit off turn, which is very strong, especially in a lot of these games just like Genshin Impact. Being able to have off turn damage or off field damage usually ends up being as future proof as you can get, and makes it super hard to be power crept. So someone like Jane can technically be power crept in the future with how she is as a DPS, but someone like Burnice, who has off-field damage, who has a lot of high anomaly buildup, anomaly's already absurd in this game. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that Burnice has in quality that is going to keep her future-proof for a very long time, similar to something like Caesar, similar to something like Jane. It's a lot of really great characters that are coming out, and I'm kind of scared to see what they're going to drip market, because if they give us another support character, if they give us another DPS, the support character by default is probably going to be a big one. And not only that, another DPS is going to be scary because of how we've been scaling all these characters one by one, and each one gets better and better as time goes by. It's a lot of really crazy stuff that's happening in Zenless Zone Zero, and definitely when looking at the banners for these guys, Caesar doesn't have a really great banner. She has Anton and Piper. Piper is really good for having Caesar on the banner because these two go together, but Anton is a little bit iffy, I'm not gonna lie. So Caesar is going to be a really big pickup for a lot of people and their accounts, and Piper's going to be a nice pickup as well, especially getting those dupes. But Anton is going to be a little bit iffy, so he is going to receive a slight buff when it comes to the disc drive set that's coming out. If I'm not wrong, this is going to help him out quite a bit, so this is going to be a really cool thing to see. And then not only that, we're also going to be seeing Bernice come out with the better banner, which is going to be 2 support units, one being Lucy, who directly works with Bernice, and the other being Nicole, being by far one of the strongest characters in the game when it comes to being a support, just because of how much value she provides with her defense drop, which is a pretty big thing in this game, especially for the harder modes of shield defense, where you like that crowd control, and also where you would like that defense shred and either damage bonus if you like something like Zhu Yuan. These characters are getting stronger and stronger as they go by, and we're going to see some really crazy characters come out. These characters have a lot of value. Jane is really strong for anomaly, definitely a really good pickup if you want to start the anomaly class and start with that damage type, because it is overtuned over every other damage type right now. Caesar, broken as can be, and then Bernice has a lot of future proofing to her kit. So right now there is a lot of value tied to every single one of these characters. If I had to pick one of the 3 characters to pick out of Jane, Caesar, and Bernice, if you really need some, I guess, say nudge to one character to look at in terms of value, I would have to say it's Caesar. Caesar's just the most universal, being able to work with everybody in the game, whether you are a main DPS, whether you are an anomaly character, every single type of character can work with Caesar and will be a universal buff to your account no matter what. Characters like Jane and Bernice, this is for people that like anomaly, Jane being a really strong nuking character for anomaly, and Bernice being a really great future proof character with off-turn damage, off-field anomaly buildup with Bernice by herself. So if you're looking for an overall really good option, then Caesar's there for you. If you want a nuking option that's currently out and is really strong, Jane is really nice. If you want a really good future proof character for the anomaly class, if you really like anomaly, then something like Burnice is going to be amazing. Right now, it's just a lot of stuff happening. We have drip marketing soon as well. That is also going to change the way we see a bunch of these characters depending on what they're able to do, depending on their elements. A lot of stuff to look at. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.